Hello guys, welcome to another video on SQL Server tutorial for beginners. This video is about SQL stored procedures in SQL Server. We will learn what is a SQL stored procedure, what are advantages and disadvantages of using stored procedures, and when to use and when to avoid stored procedures. So what is a stored procedure? A stored procedure is simply a piece of SQL code or subroutine saved in the database. In SQL Server, a stored procedure contains transact SQL statements. These statements can be procedural or non-procedural, like loops, conditions, and variables. Stored procedures also accept parameters. Stored procedures are saved as objects in the database. Other application programs or stored procedures can execute it. These are executed in the database. So what are advantages of using stored procedures? The advantages are reduced network load, high performance, centralized business logic, integrity and security. To produce data-intensive operations like producing summary reports, I prefer to write code in the stored procedures, which processes the data on the database server and then send the summarized data to the client for presentation. In this way, it reduces the network load. The other way is to send heavy data to the client application and let it do the processing. However, stored procedures increase the load on the database server. Stored procedures produce high performance. When a stored procedure is executed for the first time, a query plan is created and cached in the SQL server. A subsequent execution of the stored procedure is very efficient. Stored procedures are a good place to write business logic in one place. It is easy to maintain, test, and deploy the business logic written in the database, rather than maintaining the business logic in different applications which access the database. Additionally, you can easily change the business logic or database design whenever needed. Client applications keep on working without any modifications or recompilation of the application. This is very useful when requirements or business rules frequently change. C# programmers often create stored procedures for CRUD operations. So, it is a good idea to access data through stored procedures rather than accessing the underlying tables directly. You can write stored procedures and grant access to database users and restrict the writes for underlying tables. So, it is a good way to enforce integrity and security. However, there are also some disadvantages of using stored procedures, and many people advise against stored procedure usage. The first disadvantage is database portability. It is difficult to write an application which targets multiple database management systems. Each DBMS has its specific extended SQL language and features. So the code written in one DBMS will be hard to port on other database management systems like Oracle. Debugging the stored procedures is also very difficult. The debugging tools are not good. Version control of stored procedures is also a problem. There are no tools available to maintain versioning. This becomes a big problem when database is deployed to many customers in different locations. Please note that source code of the stored procedure is saved in the database. Someone can change this code easily to break some business logic or add some malicious code. So source code protection also becomes an issue. In SQL Server, a stored procedure is created by using create procedure statement. Then schema name, then dot, and then name of the stored procedure is written. So in this case, DBO is the schema name and SPSelect employee is the stored procedure name. So SPSelect employee stored procedure is created in DBO schema. Then as keyword is written, then body of the stored procedure is written in the begin end block. A stored procedure can also accept parameters. Here, comma separated list of parameters is written after the stored procedure name. You can optionally provide default values for parameters. This makes the parameters optional. So if you want to make the parameters optional, just assign default values to it. To execute a stored procedure, exec or execute statement is used. Then name of the stored procedure is written. Then comma separated list of values are written for parameters. Here Value for the last parameter is omitted because it is optional parameter. Using this syntax, you can only omit the value of a parameter if it is the last parameter in the list. So in practice, optional parameters are kept at the end of the list. But here is another syntax, where you can also mention the parameter names with their values. Using this syntax, we can omit any optional parameter no matter where it appears in the parameter list. So I have omitted salary and department ID, which are optional parameters. We can also modify existing stored procedures. Alter procedure statement is used instead of create procedure statement. This will override the existing stored procedure in the database. To delete a stored procedure from the database, drop procedure statement is used. This removes the stored procedure from the database. After the drop procedure keyword, name of the stored procedure is written. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe to my channel and share this video with others. Thank you.